Howdy ho, YouTube. Jon-Luke VGC here. As you're all probably aware, if you watched it, last video I made content about how I thought that Regulation F was a much more interesting and diverse meta than could be, at least, that people were saying it would be. Thank you for watching that video. I was actually quite scared to put that video out. I'm not going to lie. I thought maybe it was not quite as inherently positive as most of the content I like to make, but it does seem that the reaction to it was quite good. Of course, there was dissent against what I said. It's absolutely going to happen. I think that, and that's valid. You know, if I'm going to put something out on the internet, I have to be okay with the fact that people are going to disagree with me and even disagree with me passionately. And that's totally fine. You know what? I'm happy to have that discussion. I just think that the points needed to get out there. But today, we're going to do something kind of as the next step in that. I do think it would be pretty hypocritical of me to make that kind of review and then not do anything to make the situation better. So today, we're going to do some tier slop, cue whatever editing I either will do or forget to do. In Pokemon, so in Regulation H, I made two videos. I made a video about, you know, the top Pokemon, anything above 1%, and then everything between 1% and 0.1%. So I've already made the 1% video for Regulation F with the GC coming up next week. And because I want to talk about some maybe more unorthodox Pokemon, we are going to do that today with the 1% to 0.1% of Pokemon. So these are all of the Pokemon via Pikalytics last Reg F that were in between those two ranges of usage. We're going to compare them in a tier list against each other. So remember, I'm not comparing Venusaur to Fluttermane, because obviously Fluttermane would be much better. But we are going to compare Venusaur to Charizard and stuff like that. And we're going to order them in a list. So if you would like to cook for the GC coming up in a little bit more than a week, this will give you that opportunity. So let's go ahead, hop right into it. I don't want to waste too much time on an intro here, but thank you so much. Let's go ahead. And if you like this, please feel free to subscribe. Let's talk about these Pokemon. So these, there's about 60 or so Pokemon. I had considered putting like preloading some of them because this is a decent chunk into a like the F tier, just like auto popping in the Fmons. There aren't that many TBH though. Maybe I'm a little more generous than some others, but for the most part, if there is an F tier mon, I'm gonna basically be like, it is F tier. This is why. Let's go ahead and move on. So let's start with Venusaur. So Venusaur, pretty notorious as a sleep powder user. The only issue with that now is that we have both Lilligant, Hisui and Lilligant basically, which is, I'm fairly certain is faster. So base 80 speed, and then Lilligant Hisui is base 105 speed. Yeah, so it's faster. It's physical. It has like, it goes 5 physical attacks, so it has a better attack stat. I'm fairly certain its attack stat is 105. Venusaur's special attack is 100. So yeah. And you'll notice that Lilligant is actually even in the list. So within this own list, Venusaur gets a little bit outclassed. Does it have anything better? I mean, it has the poison typing, I guess, but I don't inherently think that's favorable for it. I mean, that just provides different weaknesses into things like Psychic, which, I mean, Hisui and Lilligant already has, and a couple of other things like that. Overall, it's a cool Pokemon, and it can dish out some damage if you give it the Life Orb, but you really want it to be holding either the Focus Sash or the Covert Cloak. It doesn't get quite as much versatility as Hisui and Lilligant does, but it's still fun. I mean, it's a first gen, you know, starter. Everybody loves it. But within the list itself, and you'll notice that this is going to be kind of a theme for today's video. It's like, again, I'm not going to compare this thing to things that aren't on the list, but if there's something on the list that just does the same job better, that's really going to hamper its success. Because even if you want to cook, I mean, I would argue that Venusaur is, you know, farther down the menu than Hisui and Lilligant is, considering Hisui and Lilligant via Elizabeth just placed 4th in the last VR tour. But overall, it's fine. Sun, I think, is going to no longer be an unexplored archetype in Regulation F, but it is something to keep in mind that it's not as good as maybe it is in Reg H, but I don't think it's as bad as people think it is. I think it definitely has some uses here. Tornadus just kind of hampers its fun. I'll put it, this could change, but I'm going to put it like right in the middle in C tier. It's like fine. You know, it's going to do what it does well enough, but there are better things for it. But I mean, it's super fast, offensive, sleep powder stuff is never like inherently bad. I can't really put it any lower than C. But just because there's another Pokemon on the list that does the exact same job better with stuff like After You, I can't really put it any higher either, I don't think. We're going to see the same thing happen with Charizard. So immediately when I go, okay, Charizard, really cool, Chi-Yu is better, like out the gate, you know what I mean? We still have to think about it in context. We can't think about it in straight up a vacuum. Remember with cooking Pokemon, there's two. I talked about this in the coaching video I did with Darth, where he wants to use Girder. There's two basic reasons you would cook with a Pokemon. The more important one, the one you should be focused on, is in context of your team, it does the job better than any other possible Pokemon, whether that's roll compression, so you needed to do multiple things, or, okay, yes, technically Chi-Yu would do the job better, but I already have too many ground weaknesses. I need that ground immunity. So I'm going to actually go with Solar Power Charizard instead, something like that. I think that maybe Charizard and Chi-Yu are the same speed, or the Charizard's faster. They're really going to be close. I know Chi-Yu is base 100 because it's outsped by Lando by 1 point, and Charizard is as well. Yeah, so they're the exact same speed stat, which doesn't really help Charizard in that regard. 135 and 109, so pretty substantial special attack difference as well. Overall, Charizard's fine. Like, the one reason that I would say you want to use Charizard over Chi-Yu is specifically that, okay, I need a really, really powerful fire type user, but I already have too many ground weaknesses. My Sun team, that's what you're going to run Charizard on, is already too ground weak. I need something that has that immunity, but can still dish out immense power. Like Chi-Yu can. That's where Charizard comes into play. You know what I mean? That is a reasonable excuse to use Charizard over Chi-Yu. And because of that, I'm actually going to put it in B tier. Because again, it can theoretically serve a purpose that Chi-Yu cannot. Because in theory, yeah, you can just like Terra out of your ground weakness with Chi-Yu, but then you have to use Terra on Chi-Yu. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it becomes a Terra hog. If you're like, man, like I really need Terra on one of these two Pokemon a lot of the time, and then also having Chi-Yu there is a really big problem. Now, I might argue that maybe you need to rework your Sun team a little bit because Chi-Yu is just like flat out better. But if you're like, no, like, the other 5 components are so good, they work really well together, I just need that ground immunity with excessive fire type damage, that's where Charizard comes into play. You know what I mean? That's where you would want to utilize Solar Power, maybe like Life Orb or Specs Charizard. Arcanine. So Arcanine is interesting. It's basically the Incineroar before Incineroar comes into the game. It gets Intimidate, good fire type damage. Thinking about it in like major context, unfortunately, Incineroar just basically does the entire job better, and being a dark type is really, really good. It also gets manual pivot moves like U-turn and Parting Shot, where Arcanine does not. It's not even as offensive. I know Instant has a base attack of 115. Can you tell I use Instant a lot? 110. So Incineroar even has a better base attack. And speed-wise, sure, Arcanine is faster, but when you have something with Intimidate and pivoting, you actually don't want that. You want it slower, theoretically, so that way you can have the slower pivot. Arcanine is just pretty outclassed, kind of across the board. No secondary typing is actually kind of harmful to it. Intimidate is always going to be a good ability, and because of that, I just frankly can't put it in F tier. But I literally can't, there's nothing that I can think Arcanine can do better than any other Pokemon. Do you need like an offensive fire type? You have Chi-Yu, you have Charizard. I really want a physical offensive fire type. You can still use offensive Incineroar with like AV. You know what I mean? We see that a lot, actually. In theory, the one use, and there's probably even other like fast offensive fire, like physical fire types in the game that you could use. I'm actually not seeing any on the list out the gate. So that is something for if you're like, I specifically need physical fire offense, that could be pretty good. So I'll put it in C tier because that would be a reason. You're like, okay, I need faster than base 60 Incin physical fire type offense with Intimidate. Arcanine serves that purpose. But there's also Hisuian Arcanine, which that additional rock typing plus a choice band does really, really well. And it also gets Intimidate. Yeah, Hisuian Arcanine exists, so I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. Sorry, it's just like, it's not F, it gets Intimidate, it's cool. But Hisuian Arcanine has the exact same speed stat. So if you don't want the quad dark, what is it? Quad water and ground weakness. Okay, base Arcanine can do the job, but overall you should just be making your team have, if you're running like a hardcore Sun team like that, you just need to have fewer ground weaknesses there. Pikachu. I'm about to rustle some feathers with this one. A tier. Yo, Pikachu, like Focus Sash, utility Pikachu, in context of this list, is insane. Faint, Fake Out, Nuzzle. It gets Quick Attack if you want to do that. Like, it just has this like insane utility to it. And if you can play in a way that, though, don't get me wrong, I think the skill level with Pikachu is really high. I don't think anyone can pick up Pikachu and just play it really well. But if Justin Tang, or Wolf, like picked up a team and had Pikachu on it, I think you would see Pikachu used like expertly, and it would be so good. I think Pikachu is as like you have to run Sash. Like if you're running anything other than Sash, you're throwing. Sorry about that, but like Endeavor's really good on it. It's like the fear strats with Pikachu. I think Pikachu is like top tier fear strats because it's fast. It's pretty fast. What is it, like base 90, right? Yeah, base 90 speed, which is pretty fast. It has a lower HP than Raichu. So Pikachu has a base 35 HP. Raichu has base 60, so pretty substantially lower. It gives you that electric immunity. If you want to, you can run Terra Fairy on it and basically always win against like Raging Bolts. There is technically a like meta use for it. But ultimately, whenever I've used Pikachu in particularly best of one, we're going to kind of blur the line between best of one and best of three here, because even with that, if you have, Faint, Fake Out, Nuzzle Pikachu, there's mind games at best of three because your opponent's going to see that. And they're like, well, do I protect? But he could faint and all of this other stuff. And so it's like really, really high. It's really high ceiling, like mind games with Pikachu on those kinds of sets. But I personally find that really, really fun. I think I'm better at those mind games than I am bad at them. So yeah, I'm putting Pikachu in A tier. Like this is gonna catch some thoughts, but I think if you can play the mind games with Pikachu really well, its utility soars incredibly high, and it's so fun. You're never using like Light Ball Pikachu. It's always like Fake Out, Faint, Nuzzle. It's Endeavor, Protect, some combo of move. Focus Sash, Pikachu. It's always going to be that case for me personally. Clefairy. Okay, so in higher level, like higher power level formats, Regulation I, Regulation J, G, stuff like that, Clefairy picks up a lot. Why is that? Well, it gets an ability called Friend Guard. And what Friend Guard does is that it just gives a boost in defenses to the partner Pokemon. So you would see it, and it gets access to the move Follow Me. And with Eviolite, it's actually quite tanky. I used it in Regulation G, when I was running the Terra Grass, Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Nasty Plot, Giga Drain team. It was like double redirection with Smeargle Clefairy. So, and it protects your big heavy hitters really, really well. So that way they can set up and kind of hit the ground running. In Regulation F, without the higher power level, its actual utility gets significantly worse. And that's because you don't really have the like quote unquote, king to protect anymore. You had it its real prominence was in Reg G, but even in Reg I, it didn't quite see as much use because basically Zamazenta took over the like protection role. And so Clefairy gets really, really good on teams where you like have one sweeper you want to protect. Something like in this particular instance, like spread attack sweeper like Golden Go. The problem is that Golden Go, that's a pretty broken ability. And so all of those status moves, you can't stop it. You can hit damage into it, but it's pretty bulky. You can mitigate damage though with screens or intimidate or snarl and stuff like that. So double Fake Out, like those kinds of things with Golden Go. So overall, Clefairy in Regulation F becomes significantly worse just because the like niche that is created, like even like Raging Bolt, like, okay, I want to protect my King Sweeper Raging Bolt. Like double Fake Out pivot is better for that. You know what I mean? And so unfortunately, I do have to put Clefairy in D tier. It's really, really good once you enter restricted formats because now you have something that you really, really want to protect that can just like take over the game, primarily Calyrex, like Shadow or Ice Rider. And the reason that it's so good with those particular Pokemon is because when they take over the game, they snowball to take over even harder. So their abilities, as one, and then either Chilling Neigh or the Ghost one, basically allow it to get even stronger. So you're not worried. Golden Go's problem is that when it uses Make It Rain, it gets weaker, which is kind of an issue. So yeah, Clefairy and higher power formats like that, really, really good. Here, though, not quite as good, unfortunately. Jolteon is interesting. I didn't expect to see on the list. In comparison to, in just the list itself, I gotta go F here. I'm so sorry. But like, if you see later down the list, we even have Thundurus, which basically does Jolteon's job, but is bulkier and is better. Now, Jolteon's really fast, right? It has like a base 120 speed or something like that. Base 130 speed compared to Thundurus's base 111. So it is substantially faster, but obviously Thundurus gets access to Prankster. Jolteon's bulk, it has 60 defense and 95 special defense. Thundurus has 70 defense and 80 special defense, 79 HP compared to 65. So yeah, like Thundurus, a little bit slower, but Prankster basically nullifies that, and it's significantly bulkier. Plus, it gets that additional flying type. So now its only weaknesses are rock and ice. Now Jolteon has only a ground weakness, but ground seems to be becoming even more common in today's like meta. So getting rid of that weakness is really, really good. So unfortunately, even in just context of the list, Jolteon is pretty significantly outclassed. If you go beyond the list, Icy Wind Flutter main, dude. It's faster. Its bulk is relatively, its physical is weaker, but its special attack is higher. So you can just, right? Like Jolteon's special attack is what? 110, yeah. So you can just basically put like so much more into the defense and HP as we've been seeing. So fortunately, Jolteon, pretty outclassed, just kind of in every regard. It's a cute little mon, but it just doesn't do what it needs it to do. Sinistcha. A tier. In comparison to this list, like, what does it do? Hospitality is really, really good. We're seeing it pick up on, like, Gouging Fire Howl teams. It's becoming pretty common. It hard walls really common meta threats, like the base Ursaluna. Can't really touch it, especially if you have, like, Strength Sap Rocky Helmet. Blood Moon Ursaluna, which seems to be dropping in usage a little bit, even struggles a little bit if you just like invest a lot into the special defense because you can't really hit it with ground type moves. And yeah, it takes neutral, normal type moves, but you can kind of have other stuff for that. And it hits both of them super effectively, which is really good. On the special defense side, which both Ursalunas are pretty weak to, they're lower of their two defenses, basically, especially for Blood Moon Ursaluna. Its special defense is significantly lower than its physical defense. It has great utility, Trick Room, Strength Sap, Life Dew, Matcha Gotcha, like a bunch of stuff like that. It is a pretty good Pokemon. I don't think that it fits like every single team ever, but even early Reg I was really toying with Sinistcha. You've also seen like Sash sets, which can be really interesting. Overall, I like Sinistcha. I think it's maybe still a little underexplored. It could be a really, really good utility mon. You've also seen like Calm Mind set up Sinistcha, which is kind of insane to punish defensive plays. There's a lot to this mon. It's pretty good. I think it goes hard A tier. Okidogi. Okay, so Okidogi is really interesting. We've seen some sets. Guard Dog is really good for those Intim sets. I've seen like AV. I've seen Covert Cloak. I've seen Bulk Up kind of sets. It's relatively diverse. Quad weakness to Psychic is okay. I've seen a lot of Terra Dark, like AV knockoff stuff. But yeah, being able to just kind of ignore Intimidate is really good. If it had Defiance, I think it would be significantly better. Because then all stat drops would give it that lowering speed. But like Annihilate, basically, you know what I mean? Immune to Fake Out. No quad weaknesses. Now, Poison Dark is pretty good because that makes it neutral to Fairy. But, okay, so if you think about it, it's quad weak to Psychic. It's weak to Ground. And it's not weak to Bug. But Annihilate is weak to Ghost, Fairy, and Psychic. So Annihilate has 3 weaknesses, and I think Annihilate is on this list even. Yes, it is. So Annihilate is on the list. So it's 3 weaknesses compared to 2 weaknesses from Okidogi, but one of them is a quad weakness, which is really, really bad. So like a teched Psychic move somewhere can really kind of get you going. And Redraft is pretty common. So overall, I don't think it's a bad Pokemon by any means, and it has some niche usage for sure, but in the context of like other Pokemon just on the list, like what does it do? It gets upper hand, I guess, but like just it can get its stats are. That's kind of the big problem with Guard Dog, and that's what makes it like just worse than Annihilate. Like, okay, you can just speed drop it and not care. If you speed drop Annihilate, you're like, there's that +2 to attack, which kind of makes this interesting. I'll put it in B tier. It's certainly not bad, and this is a flexible one. Like, if you're like, I think Okidogi should be higher or lower, I think you can make arguments for that. But I think overall, it just like it gets a little outclassed by some stuff, but it's not bad by any means necessary. But I can't really justify putting it any higher. Okay, so they didn't have a sprite for both Ogerpons that I needed, so I just have 2 of the teal mask. But the second one will be Cornerstone Ogerpon, so just kind of keep that in mind. I was able to add the other sprites they didn't have on this, but I couldn't find that one specifically, nor could I find Hisuian Zoroark. But that one's going to be an F tier, so sorry. I was like, I don't really mind that much. So Teal Mask Ogerpon is interesting, right? It can hold an item, which is really cool. It gets Defiant, which is really cool. And we've seen some interesting sets. Loaded Dice Bullet Seed, Focus Sash, Covert Cloak, Rocky Helmet. Like, it has a lot of utility. Mono Grass, not an incredible typing. Its ability to Terra and get the speed boost is pretty good. You basically get a free Choice Scarf on it. That's really nice. You can outspeed stuff, but it's not quite fast enough. Like, depending on... Now, it is fast enough now to outspeed Booster Flutters, because a lot of them are running, like, so much defensive bulk that they can't invest that much into speed. So that gives it a little bit of utility. That's pretty cool. It is good into like Raging Bolt because it resists Thunderclap, but it does not resist its dragon moves. It does get things like Knock Off, Follow Me, Taunt, like a bunch of really cool stuff. And then, Instant's really prominent. So, but I mean, again, Instant can just like, +1 superpower can KO Instants, but then you have to play around that. I do think the mod is good, and I think it's honestly kind of underexplored. Personally, at least when I've faced it with multiple Reg F teams, I'm always having to think about, are they going to Terra it? And they get the speed boost. Like, that's a big problem. Like, there's some mind games with them on. Overall, I'm certainly not mad at it. It's high B, low A. I'll start at high B here, but I can be convinced to put it into low A tier for sure. The more I might come back to this one. This one, it's like right there. I can't quite put it, but I think it's better than people give it credit for. I think this could use some exploration. Next, we have Cornerstone Ogerpon. That one's a little more set. Sturdy allows it to live stuff. Again, in higher power formats, being able to live like one really, really powerful attack from like a major sweeper and then just deal huge damage back to it is amazing. It's really, really good. In these lower power formats, it's not necessarily as great because there's more threats on the team than just kind of their primary sweeper. Because of that, and the like lack of versatility, you can only use one item. You basically know what this Pokemon's going to do. I'm going to put this like low B tier. Just because like Follow Me support is always good. You know what I mean? Like, and always being able to survive 2 hits is good. It's like if you want to set up Trick Room or something like that. But because there's a much more diverse opportunity to threaten this mon via the Pokemon in this meta, I'm a little less set on it. I put Teal Mask over one higher because I think the versatility gives it kind of that edge. And again, this is also one that I think you can debate me on a little bit. I think you can make an argument. I'd certainly no lower than this. No, I don't think it goes any lower than this. I could probably maybe be a little bit higher, but I would need to hear the arguments for that in order to justify that change. We have Executor, super fast Psy Spam stuff. I'm going to put it straight F tier. You can run some funny gimmicks. We'll go D. We'll go high D. And the reason for that is Chlorophyll. I mean, you get that. That's pretty good. Harvest is a really annoying ability. Quad Weak to Bug is pretty bad. I mean, considering like Urshifu's out with U-Turn. You have U-Turn Rilla. You can get a lot of AV, fast, U-Turn, Instant, which kind of hard walls this thing. But if you can get it positioned right, it's funny. And it's pretty cool. But overall, I'm not super enthused on this Pokemon. It is definitely best of one gimmicky kind of stuff. Super fast Psy Spam is just, at least at this point, done better by Iron Crown, because they have to guess the booster, they have to guess some other stuff like that. But I'm certainly not mad at it. But yeah, I think it had that like one successful team in Reg H, but after that, it's like, okay, it just like doesn't hit hard enough for the power level of Reg F. and the fact that Instin's just like, what up? You know what I mean? It's just like, nah, dog, I'm so sorry. I won't put it in F tier though, because in theory, okay, actually, this is what I need to know. Hang on, before I decide this. So Executor has a what? Base 55 speed. You really don't want to make it timid, because then it's, let's say you do that. So it hits 117, so that's 220 plus 4, so that's 234. Iron Crown, base 98. 150 times 1.5 is 75, so 225. So if you go, I mean, you can go timid, I guess, and it's faster. Yeah, it's even faster. Yeah, I'm so sorry, but do not require both Sun and Psychic Terrain. I got to put it in F tier, because literally Iron Crown's just faster. That's it. I'm so sorry. Like, and it doesn't have a quad weakness to bug. It, like, you can do some other stuff with that. I'm really sorry, Executor folks, but yeah, it's just like it gets hard outclassed, and it's just like you can do some funny stuff with it. Like I'll give you the giggles, but it's like you are like literally just hampering yourself using this Pokemon. So Magmar's interesting. So you'll notice that Electabuzz is on this list because Electabuzz was on the higher one. It was above 1% usage. The reason for that is because it gets Follow Me, it gets Eviolite. That's really cool. But you don't have to utilize Terra in order to survive like Surging Strikes from Urshifu, which is really, really what you want to be, follow me-ing, because basically you get 3 chances to burn. Now, really good chances at 30% each hit, but you have to use Terra, and then all of a sudden you're using Terra on Magmar and not something more important like a serious offensive sweeper. So it's tough. I love Magmar. I used Magmar in Rank H a decent chunk before I switched to the Weezing team. I was using a much more standard kind of, balanced stuff, Scale Shot, D-Knight, that kind of stuff. Follow Me, Magmar. No, it's Follow Me, Electabuzz. It started at Magmar, but I changed it to Electabuzz with Quiver Dance, Volcarona. But it's not bad, but it's not as good as Electabuzz purely on typing. If it was like a type that was neutral to water, we'd be sitting pretty, dog. Like this thing would be kind of probably way higher, but being specifically a fire type is not great for it. That being said, still pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's still Follow Me. It's bulky with Eviolite. It can deal decent damage with Overheat. You can run manual Will-O-Wisp if you want. I'm putting it solid C tier. It's not bad. It's not great, but if you put it on a team and gave me a couple of reasons why it's there, I probably wouldn't be too upset with you. Paldean Tauros, straight F tier. We'll go D. If I put Arcanine in D, I have to put Paldean Tauros in D. You know what? Using that same logic, I have to put Executor in D. The reason is because, okay, so Jolteon gets just outclassed by so many things, including something else on the list. That's the important thing. These Pokemon also get outclassed by certain things, but not something else on the list. And yes, specifically what they want to do. So because of that, I can't rightly put them in F tier. They have to go into D tier. Obviously, Paldean Tauros Aqua gets outdone by Urshifu. Very Super Protect. Urshifu fundamentally changes how the game is played. I like the Pokemon, but I can't deny the fact that, like, yo, it's kind of busted. You know what I mean? I would be lying if I said it wasn't. So overall, it's like fine. It gets Intimidate. Water Fighting is not a terrible typing. Not amazing, but not terrible. But it's slow. I think it's faster than Urshifu, but you're running Choice Scarf on that thing most of the time anyways, or Sash. Yeah, I mean, if you specifically need, like, Water Fighting plus Intimidate, okay, that is a niche that can only be filled by Paldean Tauros. But I think those two, you could just use Instant Ursh. So sorry, dog. There's such a good combo, especially with Double Pivot. It's like really, really cool. Gyarados. It is not Gyarados' time. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Twar. All of my Gyarados lovers. While I do advocate for the fact that you can cook in Regulation F, I do specifically say in the video, it might not be the Pokemon that you like naturally want to cook with. We saw how many Raging Bolt there are. We saw them. They're all there. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't Thunder Wave it. You can Dragon Dance. You can go Terra Ground, I guess, but then all of a sudden, like they're going to have an Urshifu, you know what I mean? Other stuff like that. And then you can't run, then you have no really good Flying Stab because you can't run Terra Flying Terra Blast because you're Terra Ground. Yeah, I'm so sorry, but it's like it is just not the moment for Gyarados anymore. That really stinks. It's such a cool Pokemon. It's so fun, but it's not. Gyarados goes straight F tier. I'm so sorry. Like that might catch me some flack, but that's really bad. In context of the list, S tier Pokemon, Eviolite with this thing, super tanky. If people are not EVing specifically, do not give it the special attack boost, deals really significant damage. It's really good. It's really, really good. We've seen already some success with Porygon if utilized well. I think there are other Trick Room setters up there with it. But overall, yeah, I think Porygon 2 is still maybe a little underexplored, but it's won Limitless tournaments. We're seeing it on the rise. It did really well in last Reg F with things like Ursaluna. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's straight S tier. This thing is so dumb. You get into higher power formats. Maybe, okay, the natural bulk to it doesn't really help. But yeah, right now, at least, with the only like super important fighting type being like Urshifu, it's actually really good. So sorry, Porygon 2. Speargle is interesting, right? It's good. But again, it's one of those Pokemon that succeed more in higher power formats in the like Protect the King. Let's add some variants. I'm going to put it in A tier for sure. Bottom of A tier. It's not bad by any means. The prominence of Urshifu plus Farigiraf does invalidate it a little bit. It would need to run Terra Grass, but still that's not too bad. Then it can Spore Stuff, Decorate. It adds a lot of variants. It's never going to be like terrible, especially with Sash. But overall, it's definitely not at its highest highs as it would be in like Regulation G or Regulation I. But we are high enough power right now that I would argue that you can utilize it in a meaningful way. If you go back down to Reg H, it's like, okay, it's really not that good because there's no king to protect. That's what makes these Pokemon so cool, is that you can protect these like really, really powerful attackers. You maybe have things like Raging Bolt. Right now, there's some setup, like setup Iron Crown and things like that, but really not that much. Maybe I should even put it in B tier. I mean, I can't put it like, you know what, the variants, like you get that speed boost dog and it's game over. GG's, have a nice, like shake my hand, have a nice day, you know? So I'll put it in A tier. Entei, again, very interesting. We're not really seeing a lot of the choice band sets anymore. People have really moved to like AV or Lorb. Holding that damage boosting item or the AV to give it that additional bulk is pretty good. I'm still like overall unenthused by Entei's damage output. I'm not gonna lie. I just really don't like this mod though. I love Entei's design and I love its backstory and the lore in Pokemon, but utilizing it in competitive formats, I'm like pretty unenthused by it. However, I will put it high B tier. It's like, you know, again, it's like fine. You know, it does its job. It has inner focus, which is really good to ignore Intimidate and Fake Out. Mono Fire is pretty good as a typing. E-Speed's good. You can Terra Normal it, that kind of stuff. So it's not bad by any means. Maybe I'm just a little too harsh on the thing. Again, this is maybe another one where you can argue with me that it should be a little bit higher. It's certainly not S tier, that's for sure. But I'd say this straddles between low A, high B. I think this is a fair place. Okay, Shiftry, right? Curious why Shiftry's on this list. I mean, it gets Wind Rider, so you can set up your own Tailwind, get the +1 boost. You can like Tailwind next to a Ghost type and explode, stuff like that. It's pretty gimmicky, but in context of like what it does, it and Bramblegast, which is not on the list, it is a worse. Well, no, because does Bramblegast get Explosion? There's the question. Hang on. Nope. All right, it does something that Bramblegast cannot do, and because of that, I must put it low C tier. There you go. It has a niche. You click the explosion button, and you can't get faked out if you hold cover click. But most of the time, you're going to run Sash anyways. It's like, fine. It can set up Tailwind. It has some utility, and if somebody doesn't really know what Shiftry does in a best-of-1 scenario, you can catch them pretty off guard. So I'll put it like low C, just because there's like not necessarily another Pokemon on the list or outside of the list that does its job significantly better. You can run like Terra Normal Explosion Metagross, I guess. But even then, it's like, okay, that's still... Man, and is Metagross on this list? I think it is, actually. Yeah, it is. So it's like, those two, I wouldn't necessarily... Metagross is probably better than Shiftry, but in terms of like an explosion bot, I wouldn't necessarily rank one significantly better than the other. All right, Sableye. You get Encore Disable, you get Gravity, you get Fake Out, a lot of utility there. Its stats are just lacking, and with Flutter Mane existing, that makes its typing a little meh. The Dark typing, though, inherently is good because faster Prankster users can't taunt it or Encore it or do anything like that. But yeah, its stat line is really just kind of what knocks it out of the battle for a lot of people. It's just not as good as you would want it to be simply because its stats are too low. Its job is good. It does things that Grimmsnarl can't. It gets weather. Grimmsnarl doesn't get weather. That's kind of the big thing for it. It gets Encore Disable that Grimmsnarl doesn't. It still does screens. Yeah, it is a like Prankster Dark type user that you can't just go, well, Grimmsnarl is better. Because it does a lot of stuff that Grimmsnarl doesn't do, which is really, really interesting. I'm going to put it low C. Again, this could be argued. I'll actually probably put it ahead of Shiftry. Shiftry should be like bottom of C, like high D at best. So I don't want to put it any higher than that. But yeah, I think Sableye's like, okay. You know what I mean? It does, if roll compression, if you need it to do a series of very specific things, it does those things. And it does those things probably better than any other Pokemon, which is really good. Maybe outside of like Meowstic, but again, Meowstic can get faked out. It can get taunted. It's faster significantly. It's like base 120 or something like that. But you know what I mean? So I'll put it there. Another Prankster user, Volbeat, very interesting. This one's just outclassed. I'm so sorry. It's cute. I love the little bug. But it's like damage output is middling compared to other Prankster users like Tornadus. It can get faked out, so it has to hold the Covert Cloak item if you don't want to. Bug offensively is kind of a terrible typing. Bug defensively as well is not very good. There are other Prankster users on this list if you want to use like niche Prankster users that do its job better. If I'm following the same criteria, I have to put it in F tier, right? Like I think if I'm going to say, okay, if something else on the list does the job of the Pokemon better, like I did with Jolteon, it has to go in F tier, then I think Volbeat as well has to go in F tier. That's only fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Metagross is okay. Psychic Steel, pretty good. If you have like a Psy Spam weakness. We don't really see a lot of Hatterene running Mystical Fire, but if you have Hatterene and Didi on the team, they're probably going to have a Torkoal. So you can't really pry out the Torkoal. It's weak to fire. Yeah, but it's like, does it do anything better? I mean, you can't lower its stats, which are really good, but at the same time, it doesn't like get a boost from them. So you can't like do like Bulldoze, weakness policy, gimmicky stuff, which is pretty good for Metagross if you make it fast enough. Yeah, it's like fine. It's better than Shiftry for sure. I'm going to put Shiftry there. I'm going to put it above Shiftry, but lower than Sableye, because again, Sableye does a job that literally nothing else can do. Technically, yeah, I don't know if you can like weakness policy Bulldoze next to anything else, but that's only one thing. Sableye can do many things, rain, that kind of stuff. So I think it's really, really good. Latias, personally, just got the shiny in ZA. Very happy about that. I love that shiny. I've wanted it for a really, really long time. Interesting Pokemon. So I've seen Latios a couple of times, but Latias, hang on, I need to see if it gets... No, it does not get Simple Beam. Okay, that's going to make it significantly worse. So I've seen, like, Latios on, like, Best of One ladder, Simple Beam next to, Kommo-o or Dondozo, stuff like that, just as, like, a gimmick strat. But Latias not getting Simple Beam is not great. It gets Psych Up, so you can run it on Smuckle strats. Please don't, like, ruin one of my favorite Pokemon like that. But overall, it's, like, that's kind of its gimmick. Its Levitate ability is pretty good because you can go like Terra Poison or Terra Steel. Terra Steel is usually better because you're a psychic type, so you can threaten the fighting types that normally threaten you. And then outside of Terra, you're not threatened by the fighting or the fire types because you resist both. So its typing is solid. Its move pool, it gets like, I think it gets Tailwind. It's bulkier than Latios. Yeah, 130 and 90 is pretty solid. Tailwind, yep. Overall, it's not bad. It's not great. I can't necessarily think of something that it does better than any other Pokemon besides make me hate my life on Smuckle teams. So I'll put it... This, like, hurts my soul, right? I gotta put it high D tier. This pains me so, but I think that's the only fair space. Regice, okay, you basically run it like the Articuno. Its special defense is insane at 200, and its physical defense is not bad. It gets clear body, it gets ice body, some decent strats. There's some cooking to be had here, right? But like it's only a base 100 special attack, which isn't doing that much. But you can run like, I think most people would run like timid. 50 is like so slow. That's a problem. So you'd actually probably run like what, quiet? 0, but it's the same speed stat as like Ursaluna, so you could run those speed ties and go like Trick Room Blizzard stuff. That's just a lot of setup, like getting both the Aurora Veil up and the Blizz and the Trick Room and getting it in safely and all of this other stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's wild. So overall, I'm not like super duper enticed with it. Articuno is just like a little bit faster, but so what? It's 100 defense and 120 special defense and 80 HP, right? Articuno, 90 HP, so better HP, same defense, significantly worse special defense. So Articuno is significantly less bulky, but the extra HP makes up for a little. Like you lose 75 special defense to gain 10 HP, and you lose 5 special attack. Yeah, I guess. Interesting. Regice says something. I guess the main thing here is like mono ice typing is worse than ice flying because you become neutral to fighting. So like Urshifu doesn't hurt you as much. And probably Scarf Shifu. Scarf Shifu probably can outspeed Regice under Tailwind, which is pretty bad. Okay, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, that speed stat's really killing it. I'll put it in D tier. Pretty low D tier, actually. Mainly just because it's like, okay, you can, in theory, do it, but I think the setup is a little too intensive to get it really off, and then even if you go for something faster, it's like, man. Staraptor, you have Intimidate, which is decent, but you're usually running like Scarf, U-turn, Gambit stuff. Annihilate is on the list, and Annihilate, frankly, just does the job better. You know what I mean? It's like, I love Staraptor. When its Mega comes out, we're going to reevaluate some stuff right now, okay? You know what I mean? We're going to talk about that. But for now, there is no Mega Staraptor, and unfortunately, it is just outclassed purely by Annihilate in every facet. Even though it gets Intimidate, getting Defiant is really good. So that is unfortunate. Rhyperior. People obviously don't like Raging Bolt. Terra Fairy Lightning Rod stuff is pretty good. Its natural typing is pretty terrible, but it's pretty decently bulky. It's not bad. It does serve a purpose. Like Pikachu, I just don't think it gets the same utility. It's quite slow, but it can work in Trick Room. If you wanted to go that route, it's not bad. Because it has like a very niche use, I'm really not upset at it. I'd probably put it like, right, like C, mid C tier here, something like that. It's like not bad by any means, but you're basically like, I am so bolt weak on this team, and that's kind of a problem with how many bolts there are. You shouldn't be that bolt weak that you need to utilize it, but if you really like Rhyperior and you want to build a team like that, you totally can, and it's honestly probably going to be somewhat viable. Garchomp, interesting. If you'd asked me a few weeks ago, I'd be like, yeah, it's like getting outclassed by stuff. But if you watched my draft match against Justin Tang, where he used AV Chomp, it's pretty solid, man. You know what I mean? I think there's some cooking to be had with this Mon. Some unorthodox sets and item usage and kind of go from there. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. This thing's like really naturally bulky. What did I use? Like Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, Sand Tomb, Garchomp. Something like that. So I think there's some utility here, man. You know what I mean? I think this is one of the underexplored Pokemon on this list. I'm gonna put it like B tier. I'm gonna put it high B tier. I think there's room to play with this thing. I think if you're like, I want to cook, then I thought I'd say this, but Garchomp is something to cook with, right? Rotom Wash is pretty low. Its stat line is not great. It does get Levitate, but it's not weak to. It is weak to ground because it's an electric. But yeah, like its defenses are solid, 107, 107, but base 50 HP just like really kind of knocks it out the park, man. It's like really bad. Special attack is 105. You want to use it for like terrain control speed control and stuff like that. But like literally, Fluttermane does the job better. Again, we have Thundurus with Prankster T-Wave and E-Webs and stuff like that. So I'm going to put it, but it does like, and it doesn't get any good water moves. I'm going to put it like low D tier. It's just not particularly great. Lucario It is a worse Entei and Dragonite. I mean, it gets inner focus. You can run the choice band stuff. It's fine, but it's like literally Entei, in my opinion, does the job better. Pure fire typing is better than steel fighting, because now you're weak to a bunch of... actually, steel fighting is pretty good because steel negates a lot of the fighting weaknesses. So you're not weak to fairy or psychic, but you're still weak to ground. You're still weak to fire. You're still weak to fighting. So it has the exact same, like, weakness profile, but I mean, I guess you get a quad resistance to bug and rock, which could be useful, but rock isn't super common outside of Hisuian Arcanine, and you could just kind of prep for that one specific mon since it's quad weak to water, things like that. Yeah, it gets pretty hard outclassed. I'm going to put it low D tier. I would just use Alolan Ninetales. Like, literally, it's just better. The grass typing makes it worse, because now you're quad weak to fire, you're weak to bug. The fairy typing is, like, significantly better. I'm Susnari Abomasnow. You're really cool. Like, I like your design, but yeah, you are significantly worse than Alolan Ninetales in just kind of, like, every facet. Even on the list, but it's just, like if you are using Abomasnow instead of Alolan Ninetales, you are, like, basically actively throwing. And it sucks. I know, it's really stinks, but it's kind of the name of the game sometimes. Gallade. Pretty good. Sharpness is still good. Solid special defense. And since most Flutter Mane aren't running a lot of special attack investment outside of the spec sets, you can do something with that. I think it's maybe a little underexplored. I'll put it A tier. Like, full stop. I think we could be playing with this thing a little bit more. Like, AV Gallade. I'm saying. Like, you could do something there. That's pretty fun. Oh, did I not put in the Rotom Wash? Oh, yeah. So I don't need this, actually. Because the Rotom Wash was the Rotom. Cresselia, A tier. I mean, if I'm going to put Sinistcha there, Lunar Blessing, really, really good. You know what I mean? The bulk. Look at the bulk on this thing. It's disgusting. 120 HP, 110 defense, 120 special defense. And that's post-nerf. That's after the nerf. It used to have more than that. Like, look at this thing. It's so gross. The offenses stink. So that's kind of its downfall. It's not... Like, you run the calcs, it doesn't even Oko Orlando with no investment Ice Beam, you know what I mean? But it's going to live the hits. You know what I mean? It's going to be there for a while. It's gross. I think, yeah, A tier. I don't think it's S tier by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely quite good. Gigas, because we're hitting... I'm trying to keep this under an hour, so sorry. It's a lot of Pokemon. Regigigas, right? It's fine. You have to run it with Weezing. You can run a supportive set, but then it's really slow. It's pretty gimmicky, but it does, because it's a normal type, get a nice wide variety of moves. I'll put it, like, here with Regice. It's like, okay. Yeah, it's funny. Like, you can do some funny stuff, but basically, if you go Regigigas Weezing and they knock out the Weezing, you really lost 2 Pokemon, and that's kind of a big problem. Especially because slow start, you have to be on the field for 5 consecutive turns. You can't just, like, have been on the field over the course of battle for 5 turns. And I think if you swap it out, like, slow start restarts, which is, like, just effectively terrible. Like, even fixing that, I think, would give it a little bit more viability. But right now, yeah, it's pretty bad. Hisuian Lilligant. In terms of this list, I really don't have anything in S tier right now. I think it goes S tier, right? Right? Like, fast, chlorophyll, high variance with sleep powder, but close combat, upper hand, stuff like that. It's pretty good. After you stuff. Yeah, in context of this list, I think it's like really fantastic. We all know what it can do. It's really annoying. I don't like it, but yeah. Sash, Terra Ghost stuff, you know what I mean? It just top cut, top forward, the last VR tour, under Elizabeth, things like that. Base Elegant is interesting. Also, it gets Victory Dance, by the way. It's like the physical version of Quiver Dance. So if anybody like wants to build with that, you can. I don't know why we haven't seen any more of that personally, but yeah, it's there. It gets Victory Dance. You have Quiver Dance on Base Lilligant, but it's like, I don't know. Monograss is fine. Yeah, Chlorophyll. Does it get Sleep Powder? Yes, it does. So it does the same thing, but isn't it slower? Yeah, base 90 compared to 105. Yeah, it's just slower, and the additional fighting type is really good to answer things like Incineroar. So it gets pretty hard outclassed by its Hisuian version, but it can be a Quiver Dance sweeper if you want to be fun, but like Volcarona has a better typing for that. So I'll put it like low C, because in theory, especially at best of 1, you can have some variety with it. But overall, I'm not super impressed buy it. All right. Obviously, S tier in accordance with this list. Tornadus is technically better, but things like Prankster Eerie Impulse for Fluttermane can be really good. T-Wave, if you hit 90% of the time. Manual, what was I going to say? Manual Electric Terrain, if you want to go like Rising Voltage, Raging Bolt or something like that, can be really good. I think there's a lot of opportunities for this thing. So it's like, yeah, it's obviously in context of this list. Thundurus, really, really great. Really fantastic. Okay. So this is an interesting one, right? Landorus, Therian, right? This is Therian. I can never remember because I'm a fraud. Yes. Landorus, Therian. So we've been seeing Landorus pick up more in Regulation F, especially Scarf sets. So you got Intimidate. It's fast. A base like what, 145 attack or something like that. It's 125 attack, which is really, really good. No, wait, sorry, I lied. Yeah, it is 145. I was looking through the other Landorus. No innate flying coverage, but its typing is really solid. I'm debating whether it's S tier or A tier. Like, let's let's call a spade here. I like it a lot, personally. I think it's such a cool design. It's like George Washington meets Einstein, you know, or whatever. It's so funny. It puts in a lot of work. I've used it a little bit. You can run Clam. You can run AV. Safety goggles. Overall, I think it's got to go S tier. I think it's got to go S tier. 2 S tiers in a row. Really, really incredible right there. Delphox is now out. It's like, okay, so Psychic Fire is not bad. You can run Psychic Seed Magician stuff if you want to be gimmicky. I'll put it, it's like C tier, right? Like, it's like, well, if I put Executor in D tier, but its typing is better than Executor for sure, right? But it's slower, theoretically. But you can run it with, like, Indeedee stuff. I don't know. It's, like, not good, but it's, like, how bad is it? It's not F tier. I think I have to adjust. Okay, so if I'm going to go here, then this has to go here. Because I think Executor is faster, which technically makes it better than Delphox in this regard. So Executor must be higher than Delphox, but I don't think they should be in the same tier. So I'm actually going to move Executor up to C and have Delphox take its place in D tier. Vivian, does it get Shield Dust? I don't think so. Yes, it does. So you can't fake it out, but you want to run the Focus Sash anyways, so which is kind of bad because, yeah, its stats stick 50 and 50 and 80, dude. It's, like, so frail. So it's like you want to run Terra Ghost to stop that. Yeah, it's like, so what's the point of having the Shield Dust anyways? So then you want to go Compound Eyes, multiply by 3, which makes Sleep Powder, but then if you want to go fast Sleep Powder, you should just choose Sicilian Lilligans. Yeah, I'm sorry, dog. It's F tier. We'll put it like top of F tier, but like every possible usage for it, it's just like, no, it's not very good. Torracat, F tier. I get it. You want 2 Incins. It's funny. You use the little Eviolite cat, but Incineroar is slower and like just as, if not more bulky than Torracat with an Eviolite, and you don't get to hold another item, so you can't use the safety goggles. Mono Fire is worse than Dark Fire. Yeah, I get it. I get why you would want to use this thing, but yeah, it's not very good. Primarina is outclassed by Fluttermane. Are there any other fairy types on this list that do better than it? No, there's not. So it's like not bad. Fairy Water, not a terrible typing. You become neutral to Steel. Raging Bolt exists, and you're slower, right? 60 compared to like, what, 70 something? Yeah, 75. So you're slower than Raging Bolt. You have a really good special defense. It's like fine. I'll put it like high D tier next to Delphox. It's about the same. Comfy is interesting. We saw it on some early Tinglu Dozo comps. It can be really frustrating, especially like Calm Mind, like healing stuff, but hit this thing with a neutral physical attack. You know what I mean? Comfy, yeah, base 90, actually base 90 defense isn't bad, but base 51 HP is poopy doopy, you know? Yeah, it's like fine. Like it does something that nothing else can do with Triage. I'm gonna give it that. I'll put it like C tier. It's like high C tier, right? It's definitely higher than Magmar. Yeah, we'll put it like there. That's like fine. Araquanid. White Guard is still cool, but less useful. Water Bubble's fine, but there are better water types now. Water Bug isn't particularly great. Its bulk is okay. And it's slower than Ursa Luna, which is good for it, but like you can just have Like you're dedicating a whole thing to Araquanid. Its defenses aren't bad. Certainly not. Its HP is not very good. But yeah, 92 defense and 132 special defense. There could be some cookery with this, I think. I'll put it low B. Yeah, I'll put it low B. I'm going to put it low B, I think. I think there's some play to be had with this. I think you could do something with Araquanid. Corviknight, listen. I love Corviknight. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time. It's so sick. Steel Flying is a really good typing. The problem is that you normally want to run Terra Dragon. So in and out of Terra, you're weak to Raging Bolt. In Terra, you're weak to Fluttermane. Out of Terra, you're weak to Incineroar. Like, the typing is good, but it comes with a lot of risks, and you have to position it super, super well. Its attacks can't really hit Terra Fairy Bolt. Its attacks can't hit Bolt before Terra, and if you can get Bolt to Terra, fine, but then you have to play the do you Terra mind game, kind of stuff like that. I did play second in a Regulation F online tournament first time around with Corviknight, so it has usage. I think you just have to position it really, really well. I'll put it high B tier. It's definitely got some possibilities here, but I don't think it's the biggest thing. Okay, so Weezing Galar. Weezing, in my opinion, is always slept on. I got absolutely bodied by this really interesting team. It was Belly Drum, Grassy Glide, Chestnut. What is it? Yeah, Chestnut, right? I can never remember. Chestnut with Rillaboom and Weezing Galar. And basically what they did is I had Farigiraf on the team I was testing. And so they set up the Corviknight, the Chestnut, and got the Grassy train up, and then would hard swap in Weezing to stop Armor Tail so they could Grassy Glide my whole team. And it was like, I was even like, mad respect, dog. Like, that was some good pivoting and play. They totally got me. They like got me so hard. I couldn't even be mad. I was like, I just got skill diff there, man. Like, that's so cool. That was such a cool team. If you're watching this, man, send me that team. That's so sick. I love that team. Anyways, Weezing, I think, is always underexplored. I'm going to put it low A tier. I always think there's something to do with Weezing. Everything always relies on its abilities. It's pretty good. I'm not going to be mad about it one bit. I even tested Weezing early on in the meta. I'm not using it anymore now, but I do think that it has some viability. Hatterene, it's okay. Psy Spam. We're kind of moving away from hard Trick Room Psy Spam stuff, but if you do hard Trick Room Psy Spam, it's really good. It's pretty slow. It's never going to be a bad mon, I'll put it like high A tier probably. Like, it's still pretty good. Dragapult, on the other hand, really fast. You can do support stuff, but Fluttermane being faster with Speed Booster, and basically every Fluttermane is speed boosting in some capacity, whether it's like manual booster or with Sun and Specs, which makes it really hard. You can't run the Terra Steel, but then you become weak to the fire types that would normally accompany it, which is really bad. I'm going to put it like low. It's like not a bad Pokemon, but yeah, I'm going to put it pretty low. I think Latios is better because it can like set up Tailwind and stuff, so I'll put it in D tier. Okay, so Spectrier is really interesting, right? It's fast. Not as fast as Fluttermane, but Fluttermane isn't really running ghost moves anymore, right? Like we see like Speed Control, Taunt, Moonblast, stuff like that. So Spectrier isn't bad. I'm gonna put it low A. I think this also has quite a bit of cooking to it that you could do. I think there's something here with Spectrier. I think you can have some fun with this mod. So Aaron Zhang, you heard it from me. If you're for some reason watching my video, Spectrier has, I think, utility right now while we're seeing like basically like no ghost move Fluttermane. Chenpao is still there, but we did it with Calyrex Shadow Rider. So it's slower than it's faster than like Adamant Pow. It's like if you go Timid, which is how most Pow are run right now. You don't really see a lot of Jolly Pow. You see a lot of Adamant. So that's like a meta adaptation that could, in theory, make Spectrier useful. I think there's something I think it's more useful than Glastrier for sure. I think there's something to play with here. Rain comps, not super prominent right now. There's a little bit of them, but I think they get kind of outclassed because the Sun comps just have such immediate offense compared when you need like Archaludon and stuff like that. Sail, Basculegion, not bad, but not nearly as prominent as it was in Regulation H. I'll put a low C tier. It's like fine. You know what I mean? Sneasler, again, fake out. A lot of utility, kind of like with Pikachu, but less aura. So it did well. It can't certainly be bad. I'll put it high B. I think it's up here. Enam is interesting. If you get it, so it's actually the other form of Enam, but they didn't have the sprite and I couldn't find it. So I'm using this one as a placeholder. If it was easier to get min speed Enam, this thing's disgusting. 135 base attack, special attack, same as Fluttermane, a bunch of stuff like that. But because you can't, this Enam, not really in love with, and the other one because it's so hard to get min speed legitimately. That alone, like if you could easily get min speed Enam, or at least easier, get it, I think that it would the ranking on this thing would like vastly change. But as the capacity is now, and that it is almost impossible to get min speed Enam, because you can't check IVs in Pokemon Legends Arceus, so you have to manually move it over, check the IV, and if it's not min speed, you can't send it back because you have to save. You have to restart Arceus and get another one. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just not, I'm sorry, but until that happens, it's like, it's D tier at best, but I'm really going to put it high F. Like once you can get min speed Enam, game over. GG's, have a nice day. You know what I mean? I can't put it. I will put it C. That's not fair. We'll put it in C tier. Okay, Mousehold, Faint Follow Me, really great. It's like a similar to Pikachu kind of thing. It's never going to be bad. I think it's funny. It's pretty fast, but not so fast. But you can do Pop Bomb stuff. Overall, it's like, okay, it's pretty good. I'd put it high B. I'll put it around here. Like, you're going to see a bunch of the Reg H Pokemon, like Reg H meta threats, get stuck in the B tier because they're still pretty good. Garganacl, I just haven't seen much of it. I can't say a lot, but I'm not super enticed by it. I faced it on a couple of like Reg F Stolly teams, and I basically just attacked everything around it. Swapped out to stop the Salt Cure, and then kind of went from there. It's fine. I'll put it high C. I'm not really super enthused by it. Armarouge is okay. Again, it's like its typing is fine, but not great, but not bad. Its speed tier is middling. You could run some like silly best of one strats. I'll put it high C as well. Ceruledge, pretty similar. I think a little better than Armarouge though, because of Shadow Sneak and a couple things like that. Bulk up, Clam, but like Instance just like, you know what I mean? It's like, no, thank you. Grafaiai is okay. Again, like we're getting kind of like a couple of middling Pokemon here. Like there are better Unburden users. Prankster also is just better, but then there are better Prankster users. I put it Volbeat in F, so I kind of have to put Grafaiai. But Grafaiai can do like silly Unburden stuff, so I think that puts it in like D tier. Yeah, we'll put it in like mid D tier because you can also run Unburden and you can do Doodle, like those kinds of things. So I think it is. Flamigo, certainly not bad. Again, B tier. We'll put it like here. You can stop it from getting faked out. Terra Ghost, it's immune to Intimidate with Scrappy. It can hit Fluttermane. The problem there is like, okay, so hitting Ghost types with super like fighting type moves is really cool. Hitting like Fluttermane with Feints is pretty solid. Don't get me wrong, especially Sash Flutter. But like it still resists the fighting type move, which is kind of bad for it. So overall, it's not incredible. Annihilate is okay. It's pretty good. You can do some Scarf stuff. Or like Sash Annihilate I've seen. I'm not upset at it. I think it's a little better just because of its natural bulk and its abilities. I'm going to put it like low A tier. I think it's a little bit better. Sandy Shocks is low D. It's like basically Thunderous, but worse because it gets basically all of the same moves. It doesn't get Prankster. You can run the booster energy, but then you're using your booster energy on Sandy Shocks, and it's not particularly fantastic. Iron Moth, I think, is like maybe the least explored Pokemon on this list. Like, I think there's something here. Yes, okay, so ground types is quad, weak to ground, whatever. You can run booster energy, you know what I mean? Fluttermane's not running Shadow Ball right now, like a lot of them. So it quad resists Moonblast, you know what I mean? You can do Terra Grass stuff. It's got really good special defense. I'm sticking it in A tier. I think there is something here with Iron Moth. We'll go right here. If you take anything from this video, the 3 Pokemon that I think you should really be experimenting with right now are Iron Moth, Spectrier, and Garchomp. I think those 3 have a lot of viability that are just not realized yet. So that is my recommendation. So if you're like, I really want to cook for this UC, I would think about those 3 Pokemon. I think they have some really good. But that is it. That is the list. That was so many Pokemon. Oh my gosh. But I did it in just a little over an hour, so I'm proud of myself for that. But thank you all so much for watching. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. Judge my judgments. Happy to have you do it. But overall, I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I hope this helps. I hope this gives you some ideas to like update your menu, you know, for Pokemon, all the food puns. But yeah, I had fun. So thank you all so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe and share my videos with your friends. But most importantly, please remember that you are appreciated. All right. Peace.